Hello, this is Coach Tim Campbell, and I'm your host for Self-Made is a Myth, Make a Difference Together show, where we're talking with successful business owners to hear their stories of the journey to building their business. And because we know that achieving success in our business is not something that we can do on our own, we are recognizing all the folks who have helped us to excel. I'm excited to have a fellow business owner from the technology industry with us today. My guest has road tripped through 48 states, and he enjoys spending time with his family, experiencing the things that they enjoy doing, which is so awesome. And this is the best part. The thing that he's most proud of is, in fact, his family. So cool. Please join me in welcoming Ryan to the show.
Hey, Tim, I'm just excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, Ryan, let's start with having you introduce yourself to folks and tell us a little bit of your personal story, where you were born, where you live, a little bit about your family and your hobbies.
Sure. So I grew up in Marengo, Illinois, which is a small community about 60, 70 miles northwest of Chicago, about 20 miles east of Rockford. Went to the same grade school and same high school that my mom and dad did. I went to Purdue. I got a degree in construction engineering and management. And I married my wife, Sarah, right out of school. We moved back to Marengo, and she taught school, and I worked for a construction company. And I thought that when I was at Purdue, I thought I was going to be building the Hoover Dam and the Sears Tower and things. And I remember one day I'm working on a pre-engineered steel building in Crystal Lake, Illinois. And I was just like, this isn't exactly what I envisioned this to be. So I took a job with my father-in-law, made me an offer. And so in 1999, I moved to LaPorte, Indiana, which is where I live today, 23 years later. My wife, Sarah, and I, like I said, we've been married for 23 years now. And 24 years. And she's still the love of my life. I love her dearly. We have 3.5 kids, I'll say. There's a little story to that. So we have 22-year-old twin boys. My son Grant is a senior. He's currently student teaching. He goes to Purdue. He's student teaching at Lafayette Central Catholic. He wants to be a math teacher and a football coach. He'll graduate in May. His brother Jay is actually our brand ambassador for Qubit. He has cerebral palsy and a profound hearing loss, so he's been disabled his whole life, and spent his freshman year at the University of Arizona, which is kind of crazy to think about. I know when I was coming back from Arizona after taking him, I cried all the way to Texas, like, what am I doing? But that just gives a little sampling of how he can be pretty independent. But he's a brand ambassador, and he has a YouTube channel that he actually has a lot of followers and gets paid by them, which is kind of interesting. And I have a 19-year-old or 18-year-old daughter, soon to be 19, who's a freshman at Purdue, Holly. She wants to be an elementary school teacher and probably a volleyball coach. And then my bonus baby, I call him, is Marshawn Sherrod. So Marshawn and my son Grant played basketball together as freshmen. And Marshawn's family is kind of going through some changes. And so he was struggling to he was kind of between places all the time. And my wife just said, why don't you just live with us? We got plenty of room. And so he's kind of become our bonus baby. Marshawn did a stint in the Army, got out of the Army, and now he's an apprentice in the electrical union here in LaPorte. Real close to my extended family. I have 2 brothers, Brad and Wade. My brother Brad is a very successful high school football coach in Illinois. And my brother Wade owns a successful business in Lafayette, Indiana. And then I have nieces and nephews, and my wife's sister and my brother-in-law, they're real close. So that's a little bit about my family, and not so much about work, but more the family.
Yeah, awesome. So is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share?
Yeah. So I previewed some of the previous interviews, so I kind of knew that question was coming. And so yes. So I've had Chicago Bears season tickets since '06. So the first year, the Bears that we had a season ticket, I split them with my two brothers. We had 6 tickets together, and we just go to some games together and then go to some games separate. So still have them today. I was so furious with Jay Cutler after we lost the game that I was coming home with my son, and I got home and I burned my Jay Cutler jersey. So my wife came home and there was a stake in the front yard with this burned jersey on it, and she was just like, "What is going on?" So there was a warrior inside of me, and it takes a little bit more to get him out today, but he's still in there. But that was, 15 years ago, where it was a little bit easier to get him out. So, but my kids love to tell that story.
I bet they do. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Ryan, tell us about how the business came about, and at what point in your life did you have the confidence to know that you could run your own business?
So how the business came about. So I went to work for my father-in-law at a company named Age Telecom. My father-in-law started that business in 1986. So when the Bell company split apart, he started that company, putting in telephone systems and structured cabling in 1986. I went to work there in 99, and my wife and I bought that in 2011. In 2013, I started Qubit. And so today, I own 60% of New Age. My equity partner, Tom Mizwicki, who owns 40%. He runs that on a very daily basis. So my responsibilities there today are threefold: provide leads when they want the lead, help close it, and then be available for help if I'm asked. and then I'm the CEO of Qubit, like on a very, very daily basis. So Qubit was really kind of hatched out of New Age. New Age is a very blue collar kind of company, and we have engineers that work for us. It's a very different business, but they share a lot of the same customers, and they help each other out. As far as when did I? So as a kid, I worked for small business owners. I grew up in a small town. I worked for small business owners. I had a guy who worked for Dale Schwartz, who had a heating and air conditioning business, who I adored. He's the best boss I've ever had. And I watched my dad get fired when I was about 15 years old. And he had worked his way up to running a manufacturing facility, and found out that they were dumping pollutants on the property, and told them, like, "Hey, you got to clean this up, or we're going to, turn you in." And they ended up buying us contract. And I subconsciously at that moment in time, I told myself, that's never going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Right. I can remember, even when I've had to let people go here working for me, I'm really worried about the kids. I can remember when my dad lost his job, I was terrified. I mean, I was in high school. I was the oldest of 3 boys. I was making a name for myself. Yeah. Are we going to have to move? Are we going to have to, I can remember just being, kind of terrified about it. So I just always have thought I was going to own my own small business.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I didn't know what, I didn't know where, I didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
I just always in the back of my mind thought that's what was going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I can understand that feeling. So little different story, but my dad was a mechanic growing up, and he hurt his shoulder and had to go through surgery, but it unfortunately didn't repair properly. So he was unable to work. And that was right as I was going into high school. So it is a scary feeling.
It is.
I can understand.
Yep.
So Ryan, tell us a little bit more about Qubit.
Yeah. So Qubit, our kind of tagline is moving and storing data fast and safe. So we effectively do 3 things. We work with customers on networking, which to me is you're helping customers move ones and zeros across their network. That may be across the building, it may be across the globe, it may be, any combination in between. And it's moving wirelessly or wired. And we really don't care what the ones and zeros are. So we have customers that are, they do like toll road. We help out the medical industry, schools, manufacturing facilities. So we don't care what the ones and zeros are. We just help them move the ones and zeros across their network.
Yeah.
Network security is the second business line. So to me, that's moving the data a little bit out of your network. So firewalls, and then the software, antivirus software, protecting the cloud, 'cause a lot of that data transfers between their premise and the cloud, or smartphones, or what have you. So network security. And then the last thing is servers and storage. So I always kind of say, you're moving the data across the networks, they land someplace, right? A lot of times it's a server, right? So that data lands there, and then it stays there until you pull it out again. Then you store it, you back it up. And we do that work for customers who are, I'd say, middle to large, where that work is a thing, it's a department. Because most small businesses, when they think of an IT person or network, they want somebody who does everything.
Right.
They want somebody that does everything for them. We're generally working with a tier up from that as far as the size of a business, where they'll have like a networking department, or there will be something, and we really try to come alongside of them and augment them well. So we sell a lot of products. We sell Extreme Networks, Juniper, Checkpoint, Fortinet. And different. I don't want to leave anybody out, but those are a lot of the headliners of what we sell. So a lot of times we're vendor led into accounts, and then we try to differentiate ourselves just with our work ethic, our core values, our work hard, be a good teammate, be a good citizen, have fun, and win. And we try to do that, all the time. That's it. We're about 20 strong. About a third of our workers are remote, and the other 2/3 are generally around LaPorte. Just trying to keep doing the right things right.
I love that. Your values and do the right things right. It's an awesome perspective. So Ryan, share us a story of someone who pushed you or inspired you that you could do it, and the impact that person had on you.
So, I thought a little bit about this question, and my family has always been supportive of me. I think back to like my grandma Tessendorf, which was my mom's mom. She always thought I could do whatever I was doing. She always believed in me, always. And we always kind of joke, and it's same with my brothers, but we always kind of joke that, sometimes there's like, a serial killer, and there's always that one person that says, I don't think they did that. And that would be my grandma, right? She was like, no way, my grandsons would never do that. So she's always believed in me. But really what's motivated me more than anything are people who don't think I can do it. I have always been highly motivated by people who don't think I can get things done. I have been blessed beyond measure with the people that have been along for the ride, right? I've had some awesome employees. I've had great friends. I've had awesome customers. I've had customers that have hired me. I say now, when I had no business being hired, but they believed in me. Yeah. I think about a guy named Mark King, who worked for a contractor, NiSource, right when I bought the business, and he helped award me a big contract that really gave me some wind behind my sails. I think about a guy, Michael Hunt, who really saw something in us with a company, FCC, that we do a lot of work for. I think about Paul Reeves as an employee of mine. He's been with me for 17 years. He really bet on me at a time when he could have went someplace else, but he bet on me. So those people pushed me, I think, more than like somebody rah-rahing me, but like that belief in me always inspired me to, like, I didn't want to let them down. I still have that today. The hardest thing that I have to do in business now is tell people no. Right. Because I just always want to say, yeah, we can do it. Yeah, we can do it. And learning to say no is a very valuable trait for a business person, I believe. Absolutely. So I don't know if So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, that was wonderful, Ryan. So what's related to that then? What's the biggest learning that you've had throughout the years as a business owner?
That relationships are what matters the most. Absolutely. Relationships are, and trust, right? So we talk about, like, I had to define the Qubit way. We talk about the Qubit way, like the way we do business. And I always have this dream that we get a new guy in, he starts to do something a little bit off, and his coworkers say, no, 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 that's not the Qubit way, right? That's always been my dream. And so I had to define the Qubit way.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, the Qubit way, at least the way I believe it should be anyways, we should aspire to is earning trust. And so I've always worked really hard to earn the trust of my employees. Mm. And I believe that's done through selfless service. If you're just extending kindness and grace and helping people and over and over repetitively, and you're reliable, they can count on you, and you establish that trust. You got to trust your employees, then your customers are going to trust you. You have to be able to execute, on the job, do what you say you're going to do. If you screw it up, say, hey, I screwed this up, I'm going to fix it. Here's how. And you establish that trust with the customers. And then you have to just maintain that trust and earn it all the time. And through that, you develop relationships with people. And so we have a lot of customers that, they go from here to there, and then they go here. And then we had a customer Qubit here, customer Qubit here, another customer Qubit at 3 different places because of those relationships and that trust that we've built.
I love that idea of the Qubit way, and it just makes me think of all the talk more recently about culture, right? And with everybody resigning, and so having that amazing culture that you've just described helps folks to attract the right employees who have those similar beliefs and they want to be part of the things that you guys are doing. So that's just awesome that you guys have taken the time to define what the Qubit way is, and then more importantly that I heard you say that you're living it and you're making sure that others are living it, and your dream of employees correcting others to be living that same way. Just that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. So we're by no means perfect, sure, by any means at all. But we work really hard, and I found, so we're we use EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System, and one of the things they talk about is, every business is going to go through a ceiling. Right? Mm-hmm. You're going to hit a ceiling. You're going to either get through it or you're not. Yeah. And then when you get through it, your next reward is there's another ceiling, right, that you have to get through. And so, we're kind of going through ceilings in our business, and so I've spent a lot of time working on my leadership team and pushing this stuff down, and that you have to be repetitive, and you cannot be complacent on anything, and you have to continually be working, on these things. And so I feel my job now as a leader is I have to lead by example. Yeah. I feel like very much I'm almost like a parent of a little kid. When you're yeah. When my kids were little, they were always watching me. Uh-huh. Always. How did Dad do this? What did he do here? And I feel like my business is like that now. So I think so many businesses today get hung up in this. Like they'll put things on the wall. Yeah. They'll put a social media post out there, and even their own like employees are like, well, that's not the way it is. Yeah. So you have to practice what you preach on just a daily, like, and I'll tell other business people that ask me that, like, they watch how much you tip, right? Employees will watch like, oh, I'm, you say you're a generous guy, but then you only tip 10%. Right. Not that I do, but like, I'm just saying they're always watching, what you're doing. And so I think it's real important that you can't fake it. Yep. Your employees are almost like kids in the sense that like kids can tell when somebody's authentic better than anybody. Yeah. And so you have to just live it out every day. And I try my hardest to do those things. Some days I'm better than others, but
our employees. I love the essence of where you're going there, because our employees will only rise to the level that we as the leader are demonstrating, right? And so the goal is for us as leaders of our company to continue to grow and develop ourselves so that we're always staying a step ahead of our employees, right?
Big time. Absolutely.
So Ryan, what's a business success, or sorry, we know that business success doesn't happen in isolation, right? And so what's a challenge that you've had during the years that another business owner has helped you work through?
So I would say my biggest business struggles have been cash flow,
Hmm.
right? So when I bought New Age didn't have as bad a cash flow situation because it was steady, smaller business. A lot of wages being like just payroll, and I got it into where I was selling more product, right? So I would sell like a network core that might be $300,000-400,000, right? So I had to come up with that money
Right.
in order to make the sale. And I remember this, like I sold a network core to a local hospital, and the hospital had said like they would do it on a consignment. So they would basically like pay the bank, then the bank would then pay me the margin. They would pay the supplier, and the CIO came back and said, "Oh no, we can't do it that way." And I just remember this distinctly. I hung up. I said, well, "Okay, we'll just do it the traditional way. Then that's no problem at all." And I hung the phone up. I had no idea how I was gonna, none whatsoever. And I was just racking my brain, and that was a time when I was kind of just struggling to make payroll, every week. And so I went home and I couldn't sleep, and I just called my distributor and said, we have to figure something out here. Like or we're all going to lose the sale. And so they ended up getting me set up to take care of that. Mm-hmm. And then I flew to Greenville, South Carolina, where our distributor was. I wanted to meet with them. And I just remember I just showed up and I just said, "Hey, I can't do this. Like, I can't live like this. You guys got to extend me some credit, blah, blah, blah." And I remember there's a room about 5 guys in there, and there's one older guy. And you could tell he was kind of the boss. I don't even know what his role was. But I remember he looked down his glasses at me like this. He kind of looked at me, looked at the paper, looked at me, and he said, "Will you personally guarantee this?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "This is my life. Like, this is an extension of me, this business."
Yeah. And
he's like, "We'll extend you $1 million of credit." He goes, "Just know that if you would have answered no to that question, we wouldn't have given you a nickel." And that was a very eye-opening experience for me. And so, I couldn't even tell you that guy's name. I couldn't tell you what his role was there.
Wow.
But that had a significant impact in the trajectory of my business. And so now like credit and maintaining our credit and those things is like a serious business for us. Like we take it very, very serious.
Yeah.
So
what an amazing story.
So it really was.
So Ryan, if you had to pick,
but I'll say this too. I want to so had I not gotten on that plane, to go put my hand in that guy's hand and look him in the eye, I don't think I would have got it.
No.
Right. So it's and that there was nobody telling me go do that. It was a little bit my gut.
Yeah.
I think that to speak to relationships, I mean, that just showed that guy, hey, like, this guy is serious about this.
Yeah, because if you didn't go there, he wouldn't have been able to ask you that question and look you in the eye and gauge your answer, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. So you've mentioned a few people already, but if there were 3 people that along your business journey that you're most grateful for being part of your business growth, who would those 3 people be and how'd they help you?
Yeah. So I'm going to lump one person into my family, right? And by that, I mean particularly 3 people. My wife, right? My wife has always been supportive of my crazy ambitions. She's always been very supportive. And then the other 2 are my brothers. My brothers they're both extremely successful in their chosen craft. And they've always been very, very supportive of what I do. And so that would be kind of like one person to me. Again, I think about the employees, who bet on me, who believed in me and gave me, that I can't even tell you like how much wind that gives me behind my sails when you have somebody that believes in you. And it probably all starts from my grandma, way back when, how she always believed in me.
Yeah.
But I think about, the employees, Paul Reeves, Scott Agner, a guy named John Lores, who was a great old employee of mine. He's since retired. The guy Kurt Bonestad was an old employee of mine, and then even big time current employees too. Josh Mandeville, Greg Eagle, my partner Tom Mizwicki, Rachel Parrish. Rachel Parrish is my CFO. She started with me at Qubit. She worked the very first day at Qubit, kind of like part time. She came to me and said, "Hey, my husband got a transfer to go to Alabama. I got to turn on a resignation." And I was like, "Well, have you ever thought about working remote? Like, why don't you just do that?" So she's been with me and flourished. And then I think about my customers. So like, to me, there's like these three categories of people. There's my family and my employees and my customers. Yeah. I just have had some great customers that have believed in me and us as well. As far as other business owners go, though, I pick up so many little nuggets from different people. I love talking business with anybody. I love talking leadership and I love talking business. But I pick up a lot of leadership stuff from my brother, who's a football coach. My employees make fun of me because I say this is my football team. And so there's so many, and there's not one that's jumping the mind on the business side, but there's so many little ones that you just pick up a little bit here, a little bit there. And so I always try to, push myself that I've been in business now for a while. So if somebody's asking me questions, to take the time to answer them and care, because you pick up so many little things from different people. I think it's so important too to be humble enough, because people who are younger than you and been in business a shorter period of time than you have so much to teach you. I think it's very tempting to be like, "Oh, I've been in business now for 15 years and I'm doing millions and millions. What are you going to teach me?" That's a very bad approach. Like, I think there's so much to learn from so many different people in business. Yeah. I've hired very good professionals, my accountant, my lawyers, my financial planners, my EOS implementer. I'm in C12, which is a Christian business owners group, which is awesome. There's great people there. So just a wide variety of people.
Awesome. So Ryan, as you think about the next 3 to 5 years, what's the biggest challenges that you think you're going to face to reach your goals, and what are the types of people that you're going to need to help you solve those?
Yeah. So the thing that I fear the most is that we're going to be a company that used to be cool, right? That we're going to be. I had a guy tell me once, and I'll never forget this either. There was a company out of South Bend, and I went to a sales call with him, and he's like, "Man, I really like your company. Like, how many people work for you?" And I told him at that point I was like 12 or 13. He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You probably still got beer in the fridge." And I go, "Yeah, we do." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "You're going to have to get rid of it at about 30 employees. And I was just like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "We went from like 5 to 75 in 3 years. We had to get rid of the beer. Like, HR came in and blah, 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 blah." And so I've always kind of joked with my staff, like, I never want to be that company that has to take the beer out of the fridge. Right. And so my fear, not fear, my fear is not the right word. Right. But my concern is that, because we're growing pretty well right now by doing the right things right. And I do believe if you're not growing, you're dying. So we need to continue to keep growing. So it's, how do you do that, but yet maintain the culture you have, and it's not that we're like alcoholics. Like, it's not, the beer is just a like a place symbol setter, right? Symbol, right? So that's my challenge, right? Is how do we maintain the culture as we grow? And what do I need? I need people that love the culture more than money. And so I've some of my best employees I've rescued from corporate America, where they went from this environment where it was all money all the time. Yeah. And now it's all people all the time, and the money just kind of comes with it. Yeah. And now they love it here. And so I think there's a lot of people I can rescue from corporate America, but they have to be all people all the time, and then the money's going to come and go. So finding those kinds of people.
Yeah. What I like about that, finding the right people, is, a lot of mistakes that businesses make in general is that they're hiring based on, skills and experience, as opposed to hiring on that cultural fit, right?
Yeah, so, for sure.
To your point, when you find that cultural fit, those people don't even, the money, they've got to pay their bills, but it's not the driving factor of why they come to work every day, right? They just love what they're doing.
For sure. I read a book a long time ago named Spark. It's about Lincoln Electric. It's a great book, but it talked about how people are motivated by respect. And I firmly believe that. And pay is a part of respect. So if you respect somebody, you're going to pay them appropriately. But people don't wake up in the morning and say, I can't wait to get to work because I'm going to make, $72 today or whatever it is, right? They're motivated by the people they're around. And so yeah. And anybody who wants to come to work for us only because of money is not the right person.
Right. Yep.
Not at all.
Yep. And so much better to know that up front, right? Than after we've brought somebody on board and realized that there's not a cultural fit.
Yeah. I've made some really bad hires, or I'm like the worst, like guy sits down here and talks to me for a half hour. I'm like, yeah, that guy seems pretty cool. Like, I'll hire him, and then like 3 months later, I'm like, man, what am I doing? Like this guy's, this isn't going to work. And so we're much more methodical now in our hiring process, and looking at all of our decisions through the lens of our core values, right? So like if it doesn't fit our core values, then like can't do it.
Yeah.
Like we can't waver on any of that. Like we have to, you have to be true to that.
Yeah. There's a popular phrase called hire slow and fire fast. Right?
Yes. Yeah.
If you do happen to make the mistake and you realize they're not a cultural fit, don't hang on to them, right?
Man, historically, I've been the exact opposite of that. But it can be extremely pain, and people problems are the most painful problems. They affect all aspects of the business. It sucks the life out of it. It's the worst, right? When you have bad people problems. Everything else you can kind of deal with. If you got a good team with you, you feel like you could take on the world.
Right.
But if your team's the problem, it's like, oh my gosh, where do we go from here?
Yes. Right. And you can't teach a cultural fit. You can teach a skill.
No. Right.
But you can't,
for sure.
You can't teach them fitting into, to your way of doing things. They either fit or they don't fit. Right.
Correct.
So Jim Rohn has this awesome quote, we become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. So Ryan, as you reflect on that, is that something that excites you or makes you nervous from a business standpoint?
Well, so I want to tell you a quick point. So I've listened to some of the previous podcasts, right, getting ready for this. And I thought it was Jim Rohn, right, when you would say that. And all I could think about was like the Chrissy Everett and then flipping over the tables, right, with the Jim. So I actually Googled it and I saw it was Jim Rohn, right? So anyway, that's just kind of a little funny side story.
That's my Canadian accent coming in.
Right. Listen, like I adore the people in my life. So the people that I'm spending the time with, like I adore them. So if I am a sliver of the people that they are, I am a happy man. So I've been blessed with some great people in my life, some of whom I work with, friends, family, just across the board, like just absolutely blessed. So if somebody was to accuse me of that, I would be extremely proud of that.
I love it. So last question here. If something catastrophic happened in your business today, who's the first person you'd call and what would that conversation be?
So I mean, the canned answer would be my wife, right? But I don't call my wife about business. Right. So my wife and I, our relationship is such that business is business and home is home. So from a business standpoint, it would probably be Josh Mandeville, who's my chief technology officer, and Greg Giegel, who's my director of sales, right? One of those two I would call, kind of depending on the situation.
Sure.
Yeah.
And what would, give us a little insight, what would that conversation look like?
Guys, we have a problem here. I need some help.
Okay,
right.
Awesome.
And then just kind of wiggle from there, and listen, the list of problems you could run into are, they're long. It could be a people problem, a technical problem. Maybe one of my employees dies in a car accident, like, God forbid, but there's a lot of different things that could happen. But one of those two guys would be the ones that I would call.
Awesome. So Ryan, you've shared a lot of people who you've been blessed of having some pretty incredible people in your business journey. So if they were all here today on this interview with us. What would you like to say to them?
Oh, thanks for sure. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for sticking with me, believing in me. Yeah, that would be the biggest. That would be the whole sentiment. I, I try to enjoy life. One of the things that I've realized, like certainly it's been magnified through COVID, is like I feel like you got to be ready to die every day.
Mm.
You got to be right with God. You got to be right with your family. So I try to let these people know on a very regular basis how much I appreciate them and things. So, I'd like to have some fun with them.
Yeah.
Can you believe we did this? Kind of a thing. But thanks would be the overarching message.
Awesome. Well, Ryan, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and I appreciate
thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's just awesome to have you share your insights and some of your fun stories.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate what you're doing. I've enjoyed the other ones I've watched, and so hopefully somebody will gain a little bit out of this. So
fantastic.
Thanks for what you're doing too. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ryan. To everyone who tuned in, thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show with your host, Coach Tim Campsell. Be sure to help us spread this movement by liking the show and sharing it on social media. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Make sure to pay it forward, and I'll see you all next time. Take care.